in the right place if you're ready to own your power. I'm Coach Simone Kelly, author, intuitive life coach, and Reiki master with Own Your Power Communications. Our content serves as the trusted guide to conscious living, intuitive wisdom, and personal growth. Today, we have joining us my very talented co-host and associate producer with the velvet voice, Nikki Clifton. What up, Nikki? Ready to talk about this topic?
I am absolutely ready for today's topic. Today's show is actually titled What Mama Never Told Me About Menopause.
Yes. It's a very big topic, and I just posted it just on social media just to get people's feedback, and I was amazed at how many people were inboxing me like, "Girl, we need this topic." I'm like, wow, like a lot of people really don't know anything about it. And just some backstory: my mom had me at 39, and she passed away when I was 32. We never had a conversation about menopause. I never ever heard her talk about it once, And even when she did talk about stuff, she was the pamphlet mom, so she would hand me a pamphlet on date rape. Here's a pamphlet, read that. Throw it on my bed and just run away. And I do her sweating a lot, so that was one, but I never knew anything about it. She probably was literally going through it right after like about 10 years old or something. But we brought on the experts to talk about it, since we don't know as much as we can talk about. I know basics, but I want you guys to break it down for us. So Nikki, tell us who we have today on the show.
Today for our show, we have Dr. Michelle Powell. She is a family medicine doctor based in Miami, Florida. She received her medical degree from Nova Southeastern University, osteopathic medicine, and has been in practice for more than 20 years. Nzinga is a Haitian American holistic health consultant and a plant-based chef. She is also a celebrity yoga teacher, award-winning blogger, and she started Yes, Baby, I Like It Raw to teach and inspire people how to embark on a holistic lifestyle.
And I would like to add that she also has several shows on Own Your Power. She was a host on Own Your Power with her actual show, and educated so many people. And we're going to actually be resharing some of those shows because a lot of the topics are coming back. So, so welcome, ladies. We really need your expertise. So let's get into it. First, I wanted to introduce Monica, because Monica, she's an actual reoccurring guest and host of Own Your Power. But Monica is a sustainability expert, marketing expert, and she's also a yoga teacher. And I wanted to bring her on because me and her were talking about, she's also one of my besties. We were talking about menopause. And can you share with us, when you asked your mom about it, what she said, and give us some backstory, like where you're from, your culture and all that.
My family's Colombian. We're Colombian. And my mother comes from the generation, like Simone's mother. It's just, mothers didn't really talk about these things. And I remember asking her when I started getting like the symptoms where I was almost at the transitionary state. And I asked my mom, I'm like, Mom, how was what were your symptoms of menopause? Because I wanted to know, what would that journey be like for me? And I remember she was like, that's private, that we don't talk about that. So it was like, I had to really, start digging and doing a lot of research. But it's something that she didn't really want to talk about her symptoms and her journey. She didn't, it's something she wasn't comfortable with sharing. So, that had led me to have a lot of conversations with Simone, a lot of my friends that are in the same space, and knowing that you have to be your own Google doctor to find out what's going on.
Right. Thank God we have Google, because back in the day, right? So, Nikki, go ahead. Can you share your next questions?
Yeah. So what we want to do at the top of the show, we want to set a good foundation for our participants. So what we want to do, Dr. Powell, would you define for us the difference between perimenopause and menopause, please?
Okay. Very fascinating, because they're absolutely right. I don't mind sharing my age. I'm 57, and I went through menopause at 47. Now, menopause is the complete cessation, no more period, for an entire year. So for those of you who had your period start and stop for like 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 months, you're not menopausal.
Official. Right.
You're not official. You can't say I'm menopausal until you hit that 1 year mark. And once you hit that 1 year, you can say, hoo-hoo, it's menopause. Okay. Up until then, that skipping around, that coming for 3 months, that not coming for a month, That jumping, having, not having is what we call the perimenopausal phase. And the average woman usually goes through menopause anywhere from 45 years of age all the way to 55, 56, 57 years of age. It's a broad spectrum. Early menopause, the complete cessation for a whole year, would be considered 40 to 45. And we do have some rare birds who actually it occurred in their 30s.
Wow.
And that actually is on the outlier side. You know, we're not talking about surgical menopause, where a woman's uterus is removed and her menses stop because of that. We're talking about the natural progression of not having a period for 1 year. That's complete menopause.
I have a question. Is it true that if you started your period earlier, you'll go into menopause earlier, or is that just a myth?
That is a myth. That
Okay.
is a complete
That's good to
myth.
know.
We would hope so, but it varies. It really varies. Some women start at 11 years old, like I did, and I ended at
Whoa.
47. But I have other people who started at 11 and are still going strong at 55. You know, and
Wow.
so it's based very much on family history. And if you're fortunate to be able to find out from your grandparents or your mother, you'll get an idea of the period of time. But if you don't, then you're just gonna have to wait.
Yeah,
You
I
just
had,
have
I
to
had,
wait.
I have like I'm asking one of my mom's friends because I don't even know when my mother went in menopause. I have no idea. But with that said, I did want to share how I think I think I'm perimenopause. I'm assuming right now, but I'm praying it's menopause. I'm like, don't come back now. But what happened to me when I was in Florida at an event, I was at Ginger Bay Cafe, which is no longer in Hollywood, and it was really hot. Like I was hot. And I'm like, man, it's hot in here. Y'all not hot. Like, and I was like, y'all not hot. And my friend looked at me and she was like, Simone, and I literally had a mist over me. Like my arms were misted, my chest, like I was just like, you know, but I think there was a fan going, the air conditioner was on. And I'm like, why do I feel hot? And my friend, girl, she said, you probably going through the change. And then and I was like, oh, I was like, maybe I am. But it really like hit me like, holy crap, you know. And the other thing, and we'll talk about this later, but I did want to mention the other thing that made me realize when I started to get hot flashes was when I ran out of maca, M-A-C-A. And I'm sure and Zinga will break down too. But I used to put that in my smoothies, and I ran out for a whole month, and then that's when I started to get hot flashes. And then I started researching what are alternative ways to help, you know, menopause, and then that was on the top of the list. So yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I wanted to just share my experience.
Yeah.
But I don't mind not having to buy maxi pads or
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
not at all. But I'm terrified of all the things I have heard. So with that said, what are some of the symptoms? Because I've heard some crazy stories. I've heard people having it for 10 years, 5 years, going through it, like sweating, waking up with sweats, you know. So can you break it down? Either one of you share?
Well, I can tell you I started at 47, and literally until I had breast cancer, which was 2 years ago, I was flashing night and day and night, randomly. Me and the thermostat were friends. We were turning it up, we were turning it down. And I mean, my staff hated me because 1 minute they were freezing, the other minute they were boiling, and I made their life miserable. And I want people to understand that the hot flashes is not like an external heat. And you can share with me. It's a heat that comes from inside. It's inside out, as opposed to the heat when you're hot from the environment, which is outside, that's making your body feel overheated. It was as if from the inside, had a furnace that just kept spreading. So my night times were, clothes on, clothes off, clothes on, clothes off. I have women who have freezer pillows they bought to cool them down.
I never heard of that.
Then they keep blankets, and the blankets go on and the blankets go off. But we forget other things. That's just a small part of the symptoms. One very common thing, because we're talking about hormones, the hormone of estrogen, which is decreasing. As the hormone estrogen, which is a mood stabilizer for us, a lot of people don't realize it. Our estrogen stabilizes our moods. It gives us our sex drive. Sex drive start taking a plummet over the cliff, And so we lose a lot of our drive sometimes to be sexually active. Along with that comes low progesterone, dryness in the vaginal area. All of a sudden used to be flowing like a river, and now you're drying up like the Sahara Desert. You know, and intercourse becomes painful. So many of our our seniors who don't talk about menopause, they would just thank God Almighty, no more sex, because you know I'm in the change, and it freed them from having sex.
Yikes.
You know?
I didn't want. I do want to talk more about that, because that's one of the things. I mean, not the sex part, but the people that know me probably think that's what I want to talk about. But no, I'm thinking, can you share more about that? Because I know we talked about estrogen as well. Like, as far as like, is there some things we can do to combat that? Like some certain foods we can eat or things we can do?
I would like to add more to the list.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Plenty.
Please go. Add them on. Add them on.
Most people know that part of the list, but there's other parts of the list where people think they're going crazy, and they're not.
That's right. They are going crazy for sure.
So I have a list written down, so to make sure, because hot flashes, night sweats, sleep problems. So you might start having insomnia. You can't go to sleep, can't stay asleep. Increased risk for fibroids and endometriosis.
Whoa.
PMS. So you might be someone who never had PMS before, and all of a sudden you have PMS, premenstrual syndrome, weight gain, breast swelling and tenderness, fertility issues, forgetfulness,
that's a big
mood changes, concentration problems, headaches, loss of libido. We talked about that, vaginal dryness, urinary incontinence.
Yes.
Ooh, yikes.
Right?
But everybody doesn't get this. Let's preface.
Yeah, I'm just going down the list. Decreased sexual response, lack of energy, fatigue, reduced motivation, changes in hair, not on your head, also there. Increased susceptibility to urinary and vaginal infections, and increased risk for osteoporosis.
And heart disease. And women don't know that you can, once your estrogen diminishes, your risk of a heart attack equals that of a man. As women, we have cardioprotection with estrogen. And as we go through menopause and estrogen decreases, so we have to really take stock of staying physically fit, participating in exercise, and eating really well for our health.
There was an actual study, it was a biocycle study that said that if those symptoms go untreated, you have greater risk for cancer, heart disease, diabetes, dementia in that post-menopause phase. So I know a lot of times, particularly as women, we're very dismissive of our symptoms. And sometimes the medical system also diminishes what we're experiencing. But going through it and trying to be strong is not necessarily the best approach, because those changes can have long-term implications on the other side of menopause. And there was a recent study that the New York Times actually posted, and it was a very extensive study, and it actually showed that women of color, Latin women and Black women start perimenopause earlier than their white counterparts, and their symptoms are far worse. And because their symptoms are far worse, on the other side, the health implications are there. They're not they're not avoided. And that's why we see a lot of the things we see in women of color, Latin women, in their 50s, where they're having all of these health issues. No one's up until now has made the connection that it's really related to that. And last thing before I
wanted to add to what you're saying.
So what I've been doing a lot of research around this. I'm a little passionate about it. Perimenopause, there's actually two phases. And phase one starts as early as 35 years of age and runs to 45 years of age. And the changes are subtle.
Very subtle.
And then when you kick into that 45 age range, that's when they come on really strong. But it's in that early phase that you really want to start to employ some lifestyle changes in order to make that transition as easy as possible, so that on the other, not just during, minimizing what's happened during, so that you're also not dealing with the implications of you kind of just bustling through it,
Right.
and through it, because it's not worth it.
Ladies, did you know Black women often experience menopause earlier and with stronger symptoms than any other group? That's right, next level hot flashes, mood swings, and sleepless nights. But don't sweat it. Meno Chill by Black Girl Vitamins is here to help. Packed with herbs like ashwagandha, it's specially designed to support perimenopausal and menopausal women just like you. Plus, it's 100% vegan and doctor approved. Feel balanced, cool, and in control every stage of the journey. Own your power and take on menopause like the queen that you are. Try Meno Chill by Black Girl Vitamins today and get 20% off by clicking our special link in the show notes. Now back to the show.
I wanted to just add and let me know if these are correct, but I found some other symptoms, not that we need to add more doom and gloom here. Kind of want to be a man right now. But this graphic I found had burning mouth syndrome. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Vertigo, dry eyes and changes in vision,
Yeah.
heart palpitations,
Yeah.
shortness of breath, frequent UTIs, changes in body odor.
Yeah.
Itchy skin and cold flushes. I was interested to hear about that. And tingling extremities. I'm getting that in my hands.
Yeah. One of the things, Simone, that we forget is that these are hormones that when we talk about menopause, we're talking about hormones. We're talking about estrogen, progesterone, we're talking about LH, and also testosterone, which after menopause, our testosterone is converting to estrogen to help us. But one of the things we forget is our thyroid. And our thyroid gets impacted by the changes in the decrease in the estrogen and the progesterone and the LH. So it's a hormonal system. And so the thyroid comes into play with temperature, our hair loss, the thinning. So when you're thinking you're only menopause, you should also make sure you check your thyroid level, because that changes as you get older also. So incorporate that as one of your blood tests to have your thyroid evaluated along with your hormones.
I want to add one more thing that wasn't mentioned is joint pain. Like I've been struggling with a
And
lot
hips.
of joint
And
pain.
hips. Yeah.
So, and I know I've been sitting with some of my close girlfriends, and we've been talking about all the joint pains that everyone's feeling right now.
Is that a thing? Because I remember reading something about hip pain for some reason.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of that.
me too.
Yeah, and I guess we contribute, again, think about the lifestyle, and we've talked a bit about it. The lifestyle we're talking about the middle life now. What is the lifestyle like? You finished with the kids running across the street, going to the games, running here, running there. We're sitting a lot. We're spending a lot of time sedentary, which is not the best thing for our spine and ultimately the hip area. And so our lifestyle, especially here in America, and I'm glad most of you are doing yoga, because we're such a sedentary life. We sit in our cars to drive down the street. We sit at work. We sit on the couch. We sit for social media, and all that affects the spine, the cervical spine, and ultimately the pelvic area.
That makes sense.
Along with the hormonal changes.
Yeah. I don't know if sciatica is connected, but I got that the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like an old lady show for real. But I still feel 24.
The middle teen show. The middle teen.
But yeah, I what I want to share real quick is some feedback we got from some of the Own Your Power community. And it was really interesting because once when I posted, everybody was like, yeah, we got to talk about this. So Rachel Voss said, oh my God, I was just saying how we need to talk more about this. I'm a woman in my later 40s trying to conceive, I guess baby number 2, she says, and navigating with the perimenopause on the hunt is quite the adventure. I definitely have some of the symptoms, including the dreaded night sweats. Grateful to know that this could be the culprit behind me suddenly having itchy skin at night. Oh, wow. She talks about the itchy skin. And then Osalami. I'm gonna say his name. Oh, good. Correct me. Say it again.
Shalami.
Okay, thank you.
Shalami.
There's no H in there. Is the H side? Is that how you pronounce?
So it's Oshalami. It's a Yoruba name. That S
Okay.
is American S. It's a
Thank
Yoruba.
you. Thank you for correcting me. I don't know how to come beat me up.
Shalami.
All right. Shalami. All right. At first, I was getting symptoms after symptoms checked because it usually so intense. I think I've had almost everything in the picture I was just reading from, which irritates me the most about menopause is how clueless my doctors acted. I miss having women health practitioners. So she doesn't have a woman doctor. Then another Rachel Jude said, for the most part, I love menopause. I've been in it a couple years now. However, there can be odd things that make you get all the checks currently. Getting an MRI on my left shoulder. You basically said that, doctor, how there's so many things that you could be having going on. She basically just says that, that a lot of her symptoms were connected back to her menopause. But it's better to be safe than sorry. So, all right, well, that's some of the On Your Power community's feedback. Nikki, you got the next thing you want to share? Because Nikki has some numbers to share, the statistics that we had no idea how many people really are missing out on information about this. So go ahead, Nikki, break it down.
Yeah, it's very interesting. 94% of women were never taught about menopause at school, and another 49% did not feel even informed, hadn't even heard anything about menopause. That's from the National Institute of Health. 54% of women have encountered at least one menopause-driven work challenge, including loss of work time, missing work because of menopause symptoms, and 71% of women lost more than 40 hours of work. That's from the Carrot Fertility Menopause Survey. And then finally, the medical industry hasn't figured out how to properly provide care during this transition. And doctors say they are now forming a group called the NAMS, NAMS, the North America Menopause Society, to begin to explore menopause. Yeah. So all of those statistics you can find at the National Institute of Health and the Carrot Fertility Menopause Survey.
So
can we talk about the elephant in the room?
What's that?
The reality is that women have always been in the back burner in terms of scientific study.
Of course, yes.
We've been minimized and we've been always treated like little men, and we're not little men. Our organs show up differently, our hormones show up differently, and I almost feel like the scientific world owes women an apology because they dismissed us and now they're playing catch up. Because there's no reason right now in 2024 that there's this huge gap in understanding our needs from birth into post-menopause, right? And so a lot of these issues that we have, most doctors were never really taught what those things were because they didn't have the data points and the science to work with it, and oftentimes, and this present point when it comes to research, pharmaceuticals companies drive a lot of what we do. And so like now there's this interest, but I want to make sure this interest is grounded in a holistic approach and not just like, hey, take these drugs, because drug therapy isn't always the only approach for when that perimenopause phase as well as the menopause phase. Because some of the things are things that can easily be addressed through diet and lifestyle changes.
Right. Well, this is good next segue to what we were going to ask you, because the next question was, how can we go through this process naturally? And we'll also ask you, Doc, how we can do it. I mean, both ways. I know you do natural as well. How can we do it if we have to resort to getting drugs?
I think, Simone, and in answer to your question, one of the things we have to realize, you are 100% right that research when it came to any medication, not just female hormone medications, all medications, 90% of those who were studied were men, and actually white men. Yeah. So we have to realize that the majority of medications were studied on this population. Just in the past 20 years, have they realized that different races respond differently to different medications, and different and sexes depends on the response. And so now you're right, they're going forward with studies that incorporate a diverse population. And we have to encourage one another to participate so that we do have true data of what's happening. The other thing that's affecting the knowledge related to menopause is we are in the bulge of a baby boomer shift. We did not prepare for this very large group of people entering into middle age. It's a very, very large population.
Right.
That's why we are now running out, and we won't get into the economics of things. We're losing a whole group of people in the higher specialties of careers and jobs. We
Right.
are actually going to be in a shortage of providers and healthcare professionals in the next 5 to 10 years. So, right, the science is not there for this. So we're learning as we go, and we have a large population that we know nothing about. So we're creating the data and the
Okay.
Right now.
as we go.
So I mentioned earlier about maca. Is there any other, can you first expound on that? Or is there any other natural remedies that we can recommend, I guess, to people for dealing with menopause or perimenopause?
Lifestyle, first thing is keep moving, like that's really critical. The overall benefits of exercise for those perimenopause symptoms are really massive. I mean, it helps prevent the bone loss, it protects heart function and cognitive health, it improves sleep, it prevents and reduces depression, improves sex drive, it reduces hot flashes. I mean, the list goes on. And what I've seen in terms of data points is you aim for about an hour 4 times a week and aerobic exercise with 20 minutes of weight training.
Yes.
And that can help.
Monica, we're doing it, Monica.
But again, we're also talking to a population who has been conditioned to put themselves last. And so that has to also be part of the conversation, right? It's so easy to throw these things out, but there's also has to be a mind shift and a social shift that allows women to be all the things that they are to themselves as well.
Monica, since you also are a yoga instructor, do you have anything to add to that related to exercise? Do you think that's helping you in any way?
I think I definitely feel like the exercise, I think the plant-based diet, I've been plant-based for quite some time, maybe like 10 years now. I think like when I adopted that diet lifestyle, it helped a lot. And then also really trying to practice mindfulness all the time. I do feel more anxiety now that I ever have in the past, maybe since I was in my early 30s. Before I started my just holistic lifestyle, but mindfulness really helps a lot, trying to really notice when I feel a little anxious, understanding where that's coming from, and just kind of doing the steps that I need to do to kind of help reduce that.
Right, like be more balanced. Question related back to the estrogen. So if we're losing estrogen, how does that affect us, and what can we do naturally to bring it back in? Do we need to do anything? Do we need to eat anything more? Like, what do you guys suggest?
Well, one of the things I think you mentioned it going to more plant-based diet. Why is that? Well, as we know, your increased risk of cardiovascular disease, you're going to an increased risk of diabetes, increased risk of high cholesterol, and just moving to a plant-based diet alone was going to reduce your risk of serious medical conditions that will be happening at this period of time. And so that's one of the things. Other things that there's some natural hormone substitutes that are out there on the market. Of course, they're chemically made, like Estrovent, Estrovera, progesterone creams. A lot of people have meant for the vaginal dryness, they're putting the coconut oil and they're putting in some other oils. I'm cautioning people with the oils in the vaginal area only because I'm seeing a lot of vaginal infections coming through my office. So a lot of people feeling because it's natural, it can go in the vaginal area. So you may want to be a little bit cautious about that if you're doing this and it's making you feel itchy and scratchy. I have no problem because we do get atrophy of the external area, like the labial area, on the perianal area. Fine, you can put the coconut oil there if you want to, or I like personally opening a vitamin E capsule and rubbing that in the area of dryness. But inside the vaginal area, caution, because we're already getting the dryness and having increased infections. So I just word a caution on that.
Okay. And Zinga, can you talk more about maca root or anything else? Because like I said, I'm a believer. I gotta promote it.
I'm still on lifestyle.
Oh, we don't have that much time in Zinga. We don't have to do a part 2. We run out of time.
Stress is adrenals, right? If you're stressed out, that's going to cause worse symptoms, right? And so finding ways to manage your stress, maybe not acting like the 20-year-old who could do all the things, and reducing that things to-do list, and asking for help, because when your adrenals are shot, it's going to have a cascade of implications in terms of your hormones. In terms of diet, plant-based is great because of the because it increases your fiber. But if you can increase your fiber in general, that will help. Also increasing your fruits and veggies. They help reduce the inflammation. They help with your microbiome. Omega-3 is great. You can get it through fish. If you're vegan, there's supplements for that. You can use chia seeds, flax seeds as well. Flax seeds are great for helping with your estrogen levels. You want to take about 2 tablespoons daily of flaxseed.
Oh, good. I put that in my smoothie. So yeah. I'm on the right path.
Yeah, I like the capsules.
Yeah.
I can measure it.
Well, we might have to do a part 2 because we have so much more to cover, I'm sure. But yeah, give me some more herbs, and then we have to wrap up, unfortunately.
Are going to be great to help you manage your stress as well as your sex drive. Maca, ashwagandha, reishi, and holy basil. Another thing that can help you with your sex drive that a lot of people don't know that's equivalent to maca, but I like it a little bit more, is Shatavara, Shatavary. It's the Ayurvedic herb that's really great for stabilizing your hormones. And it's considered to be a female herb. Reishi, again, it helps with cellular damage, and it helps you sleep for those of you who are having insomnia. Another thing, because we talked about the mood swings, motherwort can help balance your mood.
I've heard of motherwort. So what we'll do is we're gonna get that list from you, both of you, and we're gonna make a nice little blog post and put it up for everybody to read and be able to get access. And with that said, I want them to have access to you both. So share with us, how can they get help from you? And Zinga's one of On Your Power's wellness partners as well. So we'll definitely put the link in the show notes. But tell us how we can reach you, Doctor.
You can always follow some of my stories on Dr. MC Powell on Instagram and Facebook. I do some explanation of medical conditions there, and you can always send me a note on Instagram or Facebook at Dr. MC Powell. And on a word of health and wellness, to balance, I use a lot of melatonin, and one of the things in valerian root. One of the things I want people to understand about melatonin, first of all, it does not make you sleep, okay? So if your mind's racing across Pluto and you've got 50 million things chasing across the sky, it's not just going to knock you out. Sleep aids need to be taken 1 hour before you plan to sleep. So if you plan to go to bed at 10, you need to take it at 9 o'clock. But you got to do that mindfulness meditation. You have to shut things down and prepare for sleep. So not preparing for sleep is just going to make everything worse. Valerian root is another one that I love also. I don't like the smell, but it works really nicely in teas. That can help with your sleep. The other thing to do also is really important, prepare yourself for your experiences. And I know it seems crazy, but if you know you get hot throughout the day, carry a fan. They have these beautiful electric ones. If you know you get cold easily, carry an extra sweater and a shawl with you, right? If you know that night times you wake up, it's okay. Get yourself a little notepad and start doing journaling in the middle of the night when you wake up. Do not fight your symptoms because it creates frustration in your life. Right. Menopause is a natural progression of the human life cycle, and we shouldn't fight it but we can do things to enhance it and make the progression a natural and healthy and livable process.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks again, Monica, for being here. She had to leave. And I wanted to, again, and Zinga, just share with us your website really briefly, and then we have to say bye-bye until next time.
Yes, baby, I like it raw.com.
Wonderful. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to follow up with an actual blog post with all of the details that you guys have. And then we'll have more resources for everybody to reach out to you both to get help, because there's a lot of people out there that's hot and cold that need your help. Thanks again for tuning in to the Own Your Power Lifestyle Show. I really appreciate everyone for listening, for sharing. Please make sure that you put your comments in the show notes, share this show, subscribe to us. And thanks for being a part of the Own Your Power Tribe. We will continue to be your guide for conscious living, empowerment, and personal growth. Please make sure you follow me at Own Your Power on Instagram and join the mailing list at ownyourpowerlifestyle.com. Remember, anything you want is attainable.
Own your power.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode on the Own Your Power Radio Network. If you loved what you heard, do us a favor and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us reach more people like you who are ready to own their power. Stay connected with us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Facebook, and even Own Your Power TV on YouTube. Until next time, remember, anything you want is attainable. Own your power. Ladies, did you know Black women often experience menopause earlier and with stronger symptoms than any other group? That's right, next level hot flashes, mood swings, and sleepless nights. But don't sweat it. Menopause by Black Girl Vitamins is here to help. Packed with herbs like ashwagandha, it's specially designed to support perimenopausal and menopausal women just like you. Plus, it's 100% vegan and doctor approved. Feel balanced, cool, and in control every stage of the journey. Own your power and take on menopause like the queen that you are. Try Menopause by Black Girl Vitamins today and get 20% off by clicking our special link in the show notes.